Alright guys, sorry about that. What's up guys? Welcome back to Michigan Muckraker. My name's Michelle. Today is the 3rd of January 2025 and already I'm having some technical difficulties, so forgive me for the entrance. But today I want to talk to you about this year, what's coming up this year. We are halfway through the decade of action that the United Nations declared in 2020, and they want their goal to be global governance. Actually, rather, their goal is global governance by 2030. So today I wanted to share with you a lot of things that are pretty heavy. Already, this year is crazy and we're only in day 3. But I'm going to start out with some positive vibes, I guess you'd say, some positive reinforcement. Now, this is from Gustavo 13. Keep your focus. 2025 will be a difficult year. This is on Reddit, which, gotta be careful with Reddit, but the elite know that it's hard to control us, so they will play dirtier than ever. Use your vision to remember that the elite want to see the people divided. They will do their best to make you stand against your loved ones, so please do not let them achieve what they want to achieve. Open your own eyes for everything that the media shows us and open the eyes of the ones you care about. Don't let fear obscure the vision. It will always be we the people against the ones who rule this material planet. And then this comment right here, love conquers evil, so remember to positively charge and change your own heart and spread love. Love and hope are antidotes to hatred and division. So I don't want you to be afraid after you watch this video. Faith over fear is what my motto has been for a couple years now, because it's very easy to be afraid with everything that's going on. So, first up, United Nations, make 2025 new beginning, not as world divided, but as nations united. Of course, this is the Secretary General of the United Nations, so he has an interest in getting the world under his umbrella of the United Nations. Following in the text of UN Security General Antonio Guterres' New Year video message for 2025, throughout 2024, hope has been hard to find. Wars are causing enormous pain, suffering, and displacement. Inequalities and divisions are rife, fueling tensions and mistrust. Today, I officially report that we have just endured a decade of deadly heat. Now, if you've been watching my channel for any length of time, you know that I know that the climate change narrative is about control. It's absolutely not about saving the planet. It's about controlling every resource, inventory and control of every resource. So this whole deadly heat lie is just that. And it's really sad that so much is based on lies, because now we have whole careers, like whole industries that are based on a lie that humans are causing climate change and that we're heating up the world with our breath and cow farts are heating it up and that this somehow is a terrible thing for humanity. So all of that lie needs to be revealed and has been revealed, over the last 5 years, since 2020, since the Great Reset began. The top 10 hottest years on record have happened the last 10 years, including 2024. This is the climate breakdown in real time. We must exit this road to ruin, and we have no time to lose. In 2025, countries must put the world on a safer path by dramatically slashing emissions and supporting the transition to a renewable future. It is essential, and it is possible. Now, this slashing of emissions is going to lead to rolling blackouts, so that's one of the predictions that I have for this year, just based on everything that I've read, is that rolling blackouts will be prevalent for areas. Already they're talking about it because of the cold that's coming in, which 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I never remembered hearing in the United States about no power because of the cold. It's crazy how far we've regressed already, and unfortunately how far we are going to regress if these people have their way by 2030. Even in the darkest days, I've seen hope power change. I see hope in activists, young and old, raising their voices for progress. Once again, I have to say that the Climate Youth Program that is prevalent here in Michigan in particular, it reminds me of a Hitler Youth Program, which I'm not going to get into the whole Hitler thing because if you've been on Twitter, it's all crazy on there. But the Hitler Youth, brainwashing the youth, that's exactly what the Climate Youth is doing now. Brainwashing them to believe that humans are poison for the earth. It's really sad, actually. The pact is a new push to build peace through disarmament and prevention. Disarmament and prevention. To reform the global financial system so it supports and represents all countries. By the way, guys, thank you very much for joining me today. Please comment if the vocals are not loud enough. And hopefully the actual text isn't blurry. I tried to fix that looking back at my older videos. I'm such a noob that, you couldn't actually read what I was showing you. So hopefully you can read what I'm showing you. To reform the global financial system so it supports and represents all countries. So this is going to be what BRICS is all about. We're creating this conflict between two different financial systems, and that way they can bring about one global system with a digital ID, which that is the number one thing that we must resist. We must not allow the biometric data, which I'm going to discuss, and the digital ID to become prevalent, because that will be our enslavement. That will be the end of us. It's already happened in China, and I have a video to show you about what's going on in China. It's crazy, of course, but we need to stay away from the digital ID. So, to push for more opportunities for women and young people. Now, this push for women that they discuss all the time, it has to do with reproductive rights, of course, which I don't mean abortion. I mean actually being able to give birth and have babies the natural way. Like they want to corporatize it and have ectopods, and I know it sounds crazy. Maybe not for you guys. You guys probably know all about this stuff, but this whole push for opportunities for young people and women, it's not actually a good thing. They want us women to work and not to have children, and they want young people to believe in their lies and therefore fight for those lies, and their ego will be involved, because if you are a sustainable manager, that's a new job that unfortunately is going to be thrust upon businesses. But if you are a sustainable manager and then you find out that the whole thing is a lie, your ego is in play there. You have a vested interest in protecting your livelihood, right? And so a lot of this is a crossover from the end of the Upside Down, an end to the Upside Down Cosmos. I just picked this up, by the way. Mark Gober, excellent interviews. I'll post them down below that he's got going on. But basically, we need to be skeptical of scientists, as we all know after 2020 and all the medical stuff going on, because of that ego and that vested interest that they have to protect their livelihoods, their jobs, and the lie that they've believed, Germ theory versus terrain theory. I don't know if you guys have heard about this new fight in science, that terrain theory has made a comeback because of the whole 2020 fiasco. So, highly recommend. He's got like 7. I think this one is the 7th book. I've just discovered him, and I just started reading this book, but I watched like 5 interviews with him, and I just think he's a brilliant individual that just wants to find the truth. And that is exactly the kind of person that I like. So, truth seekers, just like y'all. That's what we need, more truth seekers. To build guardrails so technologies put people over profits and rights over runaway algorithms. Now, building the guardrails is so funny because these companies that built the AI, they didn't have any guardrails, they didn't have any rules, they did whatever the heck they wanted, and they still are. And now they're going to put rules into place so that those those companies rather, don't have competition. So, guardrails, not necessarily a good thing, especially who's going to create these guardrails. Do we trust them? I doubt it. Stick to values and principles enshrined by human rights, international law, and the UN Charter. All right, so Climate Promise 2025, the UN system-wide effort with an aim to help countries align their national climate pledges with the 1.5 degree goal. So again, who makes this up? It's just arbitrary. What 1.5? Oh, if we go up 1.5 degrees, we're all gonna burn. Like this whole climate science is just like cosmology. It's based on a foundation of lies. United Nations Foundation, 5 global issues to watch in 2025. This just came out December 17th, 2024. Megan Rabbit and MJ Altman. I swear, as you get older, your eyesight starts to go. It's pretty messed up. Catastrophic conflicts, climate chaos, staggering human rights losses. A fraught 2025 will still need to deliver on an ambitious global agenda, and it will set the backdrop for the UN's 80th year. So that's this year, 80 years of United Nations. Which, yeah, I'm not going to get into that again, but we asked our experts to weigh in and share 5 key issues to watch in the year ahead and how leaders can meet the moment. As we turn the page on 2024, thank God, in my opinion, I did not think 2024 personally was a great year. I had one of the worst years in a long time. I'm hoping 2025 will be better, but I am very worried about everything that's going to be happening. The world finds itself grappling with a multitude of crises that demand urgent action. The coming year will bring pivotal opportunities for progress, from the highly anticipated UN Climate Change Conference in Brazil to a global convening on development finance, to plans for implementing the Pact for the Future. The Pact for the Future is something that I want to dive into on this channel. I think it's really important. It is basically the framework for the New World Order, the global governance that they want to hail in. And development finance has to do with economic development. Everything we're building, all the building codes now have no gas, all electric. And this is all about control. You can't control someone if they have access to natural gas when the power goes out and they can heat themselves. But if they are all electric, then and on a smart meter and smart home and smart everything, then you can control it completely. So that's the goal. The road ahead remains riddled with complex obstacles that will test global cooperation, coping with the fallout of ongoing wars, navigating changes in leadership in the US and elsewhere, bracing for the unpredictable impact for global warming, addressing systemic inequalities, and tackling the need for UN reform. But within these challenges lie opportunities for progress and a reset for multilateralism, which multilateralism is just multiple countries cooperating under the same plan. Peace and security, resolving catastrophic conflict, financing for development, investing in a sustainable future, climate action, the road to COP and IMO negotiations, and gender equality, and then the UN at 80, reforming an institution born amid World War II. This year, the UN will mark its 80th year in enacting urgent reforms to upgrade some of its World War II era bodies and processes will continue to be a major priority. The world has changed drastically since 1945, and the UN must adapt to remain fit for purpose. Elaborating on the need to help the UN evolve, George likened criticism of multilateralism to blaming the stadium when your team loses. Echoing the words of the renowned late U.S. diplomat Richard Holbrooke, and citing another iconic New York institution as an example, he says, "We wouldn't have to play at Madison Square Garden today if it hadn't upgraded the floors since it was first built in the 1960s. Okay, usually I pre-read my articles. I found that one, thought it would be interesting. I apologize. It was not as interesting as I thought. Global summits to watch in 2025. Priorities for the splintering world. This was December 20th, 2024. And I'm just going to showcase really quick the World Economic Forum, January 20th to 24th. I think it's funny that it's the day that the United States inauguration occurs. President Trump will be in, as long as, they don't fake assassinate him again. Technology will once again be on the agenda at the World Economic Forum's meeting in January. Global leaders in business, government, and civil society will meet in Davos to explore ways to ensure emerging technologies facilitate a more inclusive global economy. Centralizing everything, basically. Better adapt to geo-economic shifts, increase development of human capital, spur a greener and more sustainable economy, and build a more reliable and equitable global economic order. There it is. I talk to my family members and they say, there's no new world order. It's like, how can you say that when they talk about global governance and everything else that they discuss? I just don't understand how people are still so asleep at this time. But luckily, tons and tons of people are waking up. Just not everybody. I guess not everybody's meant to wake up. Decisions will also likely be framed by the World Economic Forum's annual Global Risks Report, released ahead of the conference in January. So I'll be looking out for that, and I will share that with you guys. As one of the largest and most anticipated convenings of political and economic leaders, the discussions in and around the summit provide the clearest snapshots of public and private sector's immediate priorities. Then you got the G7 summit, which is in Canada in June. And that's a meeting that is slated to prioritize moving toward more inclusive economies, combating the growing negative effects of climate change, and regulating emerging technologies. So far, we're seeing a theme with this regulating emerging technologies. Let's see. Agricultural development. Okay, including leading funding and various initiatives for the International Fund for Agricultural Development, climate resiliency and finance, the transition to global clean energy, sustainable development goals in the Global South, and AI for Development program. By the way, one of the next videos I plan on doing is going to be on NAFTA 2.0, which is the USMCA that Trump negotiated in 2018. Unfortunately, again, it's NAFTA 2.0, and NAFTA was all about globalization, which wasn't it Clinton that did that? So Democrat, but then Trump, basically it's exactly the same except for he added some things, and one of them is an environmental chapter 24. So I've done tons of research on that. I was planning on doing that tonight, but I wanted to do something a little different, a little more fun, I guess, more fun for me. I don't know. I really enjoy going through the USMCA, all of the actual document itself, so that was fun as well. But not everybody is into NAFTA 2.0, so I thought we'll do a year of chaos, because already it has begun, obviously, with Elon Musk and Vivek and Trump and the whole H-1B, and then you know what's going on, the Trump Tower explosion with the Tesla truck. So it's just begun. It's only day 3. And unfortunately, the powers that be have a lot in store for us this year. UN Ocean Conference is in June. The NATO summit is June 24th to 26th, and this is all just people that we didn't vote for that are getting together and trying to figure out how to force us to live how they want. That's why it drives me nuts. That's why I look into this stuff. I just want to be left alone. I just want to live my life here in Michigan with my family and hang out and have a good time. And I want to, provide a good or service to help my fellow human beings. I don't want somebody over in Davos, over anywhere else, to tell us here how we should live. And that's the goal of all these groups. They think they know better because they're the intelligentsia. And that drives me nuts. Because you don't know better than me for my life, and they don't know better for you for your life. Opening of the UN General Assembly, New York, United States, September 9th through the 23rd. Now, the Summit of the Future was last year. That was huge. But I'm sure that this midway point through the United Nations Decade of Action, that this September meeting will be very important to pay attention to. COP30, which is in Brazil in November, and then G20 Summit, which is November 22nd to the 23rd. UN World Space Forum in December. That's going to be very interesting. Again, if you read this book, then you'll understand why all of the Space Force and the rockets that Elon Musk made that does nothing for humanity, they're all junk. It's all based on junk science. The heliocentric model is false. It has too many errors. And again, I don't have a replacement for the heliocentric model, but I just know what isn't the truth. And that is that we are a speck in infinite space. No, we're not. This was made for us. We are important. Our choices matter. Okay? And I love you guys. ASEAN and the East Asia Summit, which is to be announced. BRICS Summit. And there we go. And so, by the way, this is the Council of Foreign Relations that's giving all of this summary. The most pressing issues facing the world today are rapidly evolving. The environmental effects of climate change are accelerating and threatening the health and the livelihoods of millions. The health. I harp on it all the time because that is how they figured out how to get us. If it's about health, then we will force each other to do it. So they're making climate change about health so that we will force each other to stop driving cars and so on and so forth. Emerging technologies have few guardrails despite the rapid pace of their development, causing far-reaching implications for labor, health, privacy, and ethics. 5 years away from the 2030 deadline, the Sustainable Development Goals are abysmally off target as the world witnesses growing wealth disparity, widespread hunger, and inadequate medical infrastructure, especially in conflict zones. The past year also saw national elections in over 60 countries, leading in some cases to questions about the state of democracy. Global summits give leaders an opportunity to come together to advance solutions and prepare responses. But can they keep up with the pace at which the world's most urgent problems are intensifying? Below are the most anticipated summits for 2025. Now, fights over geoengineering experiments will heat up in 2025. This is another one that I'm just seeing all the time now about geoengineering. It's out in the open. It has to be at this point. They're like 5 years away from what they want to do. But it drives me crazy because for years I've been talking about it. I've been pointing up at them spraying the sky here in Michigan, and I'm just a crazy conspiracy theorist. And yet here it is. Solar geoengineering, trying to block out the sun in order to save the planet. It's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. There is a growing interest in exploring ways to counteract global warming by intervening in the atmosphere and the oceans, but planned trials are highly controversial. Now, this stuff has been going on since the 40s, I believe. I have a whole Google Doc with just nothing but solar geoengineering information for a video in the future. I do way more research than I can actually sharing it with you guys, which is a problem I don't know how to fix. With the world set to blow past 1.5 degrees Celsius of warming, researchers are increasingly studying possible methods of cooling the planet by modifying the atmosphere or the oceans. More geoengineering research is planned in 2025, such as projects aiming to make clouds reflect more sunlight and efforts to remove carbon dioxide from the atmosphere by tweaking ocean chemistry. It's like humans believe we're gods. Like we can do better than Mother Nature. It's frustrating because, again, no one voted for this and they're spraying the sky. I try to grow a garden and to eat healthy and not have pesticides all over my food, and I can't avoid it because they're spraying the skies and poisoning us. Such tests have long been controversial, again, because no one voted for them. And not that's another thing. Your vote doesn't count. They don't care. They just do whatever the hell they want. Presidents are selected, not elected. Opponents of research on geoengineering, itself a loaded term, see it as a hubristic distraction from pressing efforts to slash greenhouse gas emissions and fear unintended consequences of large-scale interventions in the planet's climate. As they should be. Like, just gonna experiment on the whole world. They view research on geoengineering to be on a slippery slope towards actual deployment. Until recently, this made geoengineering a taboo subject to study using computer models or in the lab, let alone to test in the field. They act like they haven't been doing it. We've all seen it for years. But escalating climate impacts and the fact that emissions cuts aren't on track to avoid dangerous levels of warming have increasingly opened the door to research on the efficacy and consequences of geoengineering as a way to reduce climate risks and buy time to cut emissions. And all of this is based on a lie. Here's another job, although I'm sure that a drone will take over poisoning the skies. In October, for instance, the American Geophysical Union released a framework on how to ethically conduct research on what it calls climate intervention, citing rapidly growing interest in such research. Dozens of studies were published this year modeling the climate effects of different methods of reflecting more sunlight away from the planet, for instance, by releasing aerosols into the stratosphere. In December, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change discussed for the first time whether to include such interventions in the influential climate assessment. A provocative startup called Make Sunsets has also been launching weather balloons that release small amounts of reflective sulfur dioxide into the stratosphere since 2022. The company claims this has now offset the warming effect of more than 80,000 tons of CO2 and has sold cooling credits on the basis, although there is no direct way of measuring the potential cooling effects. So now we're just creating a whole new industry with the carbon credits and now the cooling credits. Storing carbon in the oceans. What would have been among the first tests of OAE in open water has planned to happen off the coast of Cape Cod, Massachusetts in 2024. So that's just one thing that's set to happen in 2025. The U.S. military is planning to deploy directed energy weapons, DEWs, in 2025 to 2030 timeframe for tactical missions. The U.S. Army will select a few teams to develop its enduring high-energy laser system for short-range air defense in early 2025. The Navy is also planning to deploy Helios and Helios-like capabilities on its destroyers. So, another thing to look forward to, and another conspiracy that isn't a theory, it's just happening. Directed energy weapons are a thing. Flying taxis. Electric taxis, of course, look set to finally take off in 2025. Electric vertical takeoff and landing aircraft are on track to start commercial passenger carrying services in 2025. But can they stand out from the conventional helicopters? The first eVTOLs are already rolling off test production lines as air taxi companies such as Joby Aviation and Archer Aviation say they could start commercial passenger services before the end of the coming year. Joby announced plans to begin a service in Dubai and the UAE as soon as late 2025. That makes sense. In fact, I just saw that they revealed what looks like the Tower of Babel in Dubai. It's just one huge tower that, of course, has digital capabilities so they can show advertising or whatever on the side of the building, light it up whatever color they want. Dubai is where all the new money is too. It's like they have no taxes there, and I think they're going to change that, but they want all the new money to come to Dubai. That would have me worried if I was new money. 2025 should be the year where the eVTOL craft first start flying and carrying passengers. Okay. Now, where did that go? Sorry, guys. I got a lot of articles here. There we go. Oh, clean air is a human right. So I was supposed to show you that first. This is the World Economic Forum. What if we get things right? Visions for 2030. Now, it was published in 2019, but they updated it in 2024, so that's why I thought it was a recent article. Imagine this. We are winning the fight against climate change. Welcome to Cotopia. By 2030, your CO2 emissions will be far down. The air you breathe is cleaner. Nature is recovering. Saving the climate does involve huge change, but it might make us happier at the same time. And if you go to this is what 2030 could look like if we win the war on climate change. By 2030, your CO2 emissions will be reduced greatly. Meat on your dinner table will be a rare sight. Water and the air you breathe will be cleaner, and nature will be in recovery. The money in your wallet will be spent on being with family and friends, not on buying goods. Saving the climate involves huge change, but it could make us happier. Yeah, you walk out your front door in the morning into a green and livable city where concrete has dwindled and green facades and parks are spreading. If you choose to call a car, an algorithm will calculate the smartest route for the vehicle and pick up a few other people on the way. So, car sharing, you don't own a car, right? Since the city council's ban on private cars in the city, lots of new mobility services have arrived. So this is important because that flying taxi will not be possible as long as there's humans driving. And that is part of the push to limit our freedom of movement by banning private vehicles. They want you to own nothing and be happy. How do you do that? You have to share. It is cheaper for you not to own your own car, which in turn reduces congestion, so you arrive at your destination more easily and quickly and don't have to spend time looking for somewhere to park. You can also choose to travel by bike, scooter, or public transit, or you can walk. They want you to walk. The air you breathe in the city is cleaner because there are far fewer cars on the streets and the rest are electric. All electricity is green, in fact. There is less noise and much more space for parks and pedestrian streets since all the parking spaces became available. For lunch, you can choose from dozens of exciting meals. Okay. Plant-based, so you eat more healthily and are more environmentally friendly than when lunch meant choosing between 5 types of burgers. This brings me to, let's see. Again, have too much stuff, but there is somewhere in here. Lab grown, here we go. Lab grown meat could be 25 times worse for the climate than beef, and this was all the way in 2023. But food made without farming will go on sale in the US in 2025, which they call it cultivated meat. So if you ever see cultivated meat, that is lab grown. There is nothing God made about it, I guess, unless you think, man made. God made man, and man made this crap. So in that way, God made it. Growing numbers of people will be able to sample new types of butter, chocolate, and ice cream made without input from animals, plants, or soil in 2025. A cluster of startups are working on producing food directly from energy and raw materials like carbon and hydrogen. They argue that bypassing photosynthesis and traditional agriculture will ease pressure on wild land and the climate. These firms are now approaching a critical juncture in their journey to commercialization, with a first rollout of products in the US next year. One of them is Savor, a California-based company working to make synthetic vegan fat without livestock or crops. Instead, its process turns carbon from fossil fuels into triglycerides. Sorry, no idea. It's a form of fat. Savor then churns this fat into butter using water and an emulsifier. Yeah, I guess that's it. Before adding color and flavor. Doesn't that sound appetizing? Don't you just want to eat some lab-grown ice cream and some steak? Meanwhile, Finnish company Solar Foods is planning a commercial launch of its protein-rich powder product, Solein, in the US next year. It uses electricity to split water into oxygen and hydrogen, then feeds the hydrogen to bacteria to produce Solein, which is a yellow powder. This can be used as a replacement for egg and dairy products. Who would want to? Unless, of course, you're brainwashed to believe that we are poisoning the planet by having cows, real live animals, and by breathing, human beings breathing. We can now supply some limited edition launches in the US. It opens the world's largest market for us. Oh, right here, sorry. It's already available in Singapore, but US customers will get their first taste of the product in 2025 after the company received clearance from the FDA in 2024. So, FDA, which, again, just another corrupt, captured company, or, institution. The firm is in talks with food manufacturers to include Solein as an ingredient in a range of sweet and savory products, he says. The powder will be shipped to the US from its factories in Finland. Wow, so wait, initially the focus will be on restaurants and food service, but the ultimate target is food retail. It kind of looks like turmeric. Plant-based agriculture is not going anywhere. The crops, carbohydrate delivery crops such as rice, corn, wheat, and similar, they are not going anywhere. Neither are fruits, vegetables, and so on. What we need to reconsider is the animal part of the story. The animal part. The challenge for the startups at the scale necessary to make a dent in the global food system. Oh, is producing at the scale. Okay, that's the challenge, huh? I thought the challenge would be to have actual people want these products. Consumer sentiment will be another hurdle. There we go. Enthusiasm for plant-based versions of meat grew rapidly in the US between 2018 and 2021, but sales have slumped in recent years. Convincing shoppers to not only try a new product, but to keep buying it will be a huge challenge for new food companies. How can you even call it food? Admits it's a completely new, strange tech powder, so he says the company's focus is making on a delicious product over and above its sustainability credentials. It is taste and texture and nothing else. But yeah, even though lab-grown meat could be 25 times worse for climate than beef, they're still pushing through with this. And once again, it's about control. You know, the farmer down the road has his own food. He doesn't need the government. But if you can't have cows, well, that's control. IBM will release the largest ever quantum computer in 2025. I don't know exactly how this is going to change the world, but I do know that IBM was involved in the inventory and management of the Jews in the concentration camps back in World War II, so I don't trust IBM at all. Credit card payments at your fingerprints are biometric cards coming in 2025. The credit card in your wallet might look different in the coming years, if there's one at all. So here we're getting into the digital ID. Credit cards have been around since the 1950s, when the first modern credit card, the Diners Club card, was created by Frank McNamara. As the story goes, he grew tired of forgetting to bring his wallet and came up with the idea of using a small cardboard card instead to charge meals and pay off the balance. Fast forward 70 years, and now more than 190 million adults in the U.S. have a credit card in their name, according to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau's 2023 credit card report. What once started as a simple piece of cardboard has evolved. Verifying your fingerprints before you make a transaction is another security option that could eliminate physical card fraud altogether. Biometric technology is already here. You might use it every day to unlock your phone or to log in your banking app. So how long will it take for this technology to hit our credit cards? You may already be using it if you shop with a digital wallet or virtual card. If you still use a physical credit card, you can request a biometric card from your bank. But this technology, carrying a physical card on you when you shop, already feels antiquated. So do experts predict that 2025 will be the year of biometric cards? Maybe, but not in the way you might think. Biometrics use an analysis of your biological characteristics to confirm your identity. It could be your eye. As a form of a two-step authentication, biometric security scans your face, fingerprint, or iris to confirm you are, well, you. And that's another reason why they're flooding the market right now with bots, right? Meta, Facebook just came out and said that they're putting bots all over their Facebook. And I think, do they own Instagram? I can't remember. But they're basically going to create what look like people. They're going to have their own face and everything else, but it's AI. They're going to have all kinds of information on them. You won't know that they're AI. And so now we have an issue where you're going to need biometric data to verify that you're a human, which is what the digital ID is all about. So they're creating the problem, though, by flooding the internet with bots. And they do that on purpose so they can bring their solution that they want, which is everybody has to scan their eye or give their fingerprint in order to get online. Whichever form of biometric lock you're using, a device first creates a template of your biometric, like your fingerprint, then saves it onto the device and matches your scan to the template when you want to access it. What about biometric credit cards? They may sound futuristic, but they're actually just another step in a long evolution of credit card safety features. The first major advancement in credit card tech came from Europay, Visa, and MasterCard chip, or EMV chip, which gained popularity in the US in the mid-2010s. Gained popularity, you mean was forced upon us. I don't ever remember being asked if I wanted to do any of the things with the credit cards, the chip in the card, the chip in my driver's license. Don't really have a choice, seems. Then contactless payments grew in popularity, followed by virtual and digital cards exploding in use in the 2020s, thanks to the lockdowns. In MasterCard's 2020 Global Payment Study, 79% of people said they use contactless payments. Biometrics are another layer of security that helps ensure only you use your credit card. Bringing credit cards up to speed. Well, I think that's what it looks like, or at least that's what they're saying it will look like. Biometric ticketing for sports and live events set to explode in 2025. It's already outrageous to try to get a ticket, like to a Lions game. You basically have to be rich in order to go to the Lions game. So now you're going to have to not only be rich, but you're going to have to scan your iris, give your biometric data just to get a ticket. Implementing sustainability in major sports, the making of a green team. Now this comes from the Council of the Great Lakes region. Join us as we explore the intersection of sports and sustainability. I just thought this was so ridiculous, I needed to share it with you. Thursday, January 9th, this webinar is going to take place. And hopefully I can live stream it for you guys. In CGLR's first webinar of 2025, we'll dive into the role that major sports organizations can play in advancing sustainability. From energy use to waste generation, the environmental footprint of a single sports event can be immense. In some cases, the energy consumed and the waste produced during just one game can rival that of an entire city's daily consumption. With that scale of impact comes an even greater opportunity to drive change. So that's one reason I think they're driving up the prices too, is so that in the future you won't drive to the stadium. You'll just put your VR headset on and you'll watch the Lions game at home. And it'll seem like you're there. Now, some people might like that, but I personally don't like that we're basically being corralled into the VR headset, into the metaverse, aka the Matrix. With millions of fans and large-scale operations, professional sports have the potential to make a significant impact on environmental responsibility, and the Cleveland Cavaliers are setting the standard for what it means to green a major sports organization. In this webinar, VP of Sustainability and Environmental Services for Cleveland Cavaliers will discuss how they are tackling challenges head-on through innovative sustainability initiatives, not only that reduce environmental footprint, but also inspire fans, businesses, and other teams to take action. The scale of environmental impact that major sports events can have, and how teams can leverage their influence to make a positive difference. So this is behavior modification using sports teams, using idols. So that's why we should never idolize anybody. Not Elon Musk, not Vivek Ramaswamy, not Trump, not Biden, not Harris, none of them. No idolization. Don't idolize football players, basketball players. Please. Don't let them influence you in that way. Watch them play basketball. Watch people sing. But other than that, they need to just keep their opinions to themselves, in my opinion. Key challenges faced by sports organizations in implementing sustainable practices. How the sports industry can engage fans and communities to promote sustainability beyond the stadium. So there's another, how can the sports industry change your behavior and promote sustainable development, which is the United Nations goal. They're trying to use sports teams against us. Food shortage, I'm not going to get into that. 5 climate technologies you'll hear about in 2025. Green methanol for sustainable shipping fuels. Let's see. Solar geoengineering. Already discussed that. Floating solar. So, just like it sounds, solar in the water. Which, by the way, Michiganders, unfortunately, our governor is allowing for 1,200 acres of trees to be cut down so that we could put solar there instead. Plan on doing a Michigan video in the near future as well to discuss everything that's going on here in Michigan because it's nuts. As usual, you know, we have a lot of resources here that the New World Order wants, and so there's a lot going on. Idea is pretty straightforward. Install solar panels that can float on the surface of reservoirs, canals, lakes, and the like. Can you imagine, though, just having a bunch of technology floating in the beautiful water? It's like when I think about Tehachapi, California, and all the wind turbines that were littering the beautiful mountains. That was back in 2010. Now, Mojave Desert is absolutely littered with solar panels and wind turbines. It's the opposite of green to me. It's an eyesore, and it's, you know, worse than that for the environment. Soil carbon sequestration, whatever. Parametric insurance products. An insurance product that automatically provides rapid payouts to customers in the case of natural disasters or weather events, assuming these events exceed a predefined limit. For example, a policyholder might be paid if the rainfall, wind speed, or temperature of a particular weather event is above or below a certain threshold, with the amount tied to how much the measurement deviates from the limit, not the damages incurred. With extreme weather events getting more frequent and more intense due to climate change, this has given rise to a crop of startups that can leverage sensors, satellites, and artificial intelligence to quickly and accurately measure the extent of these events, and thus enabling parametric insurance for a host of new customers. Wow. To name a few companies that have taken advantage, there's Floodbase and Flood Flash, both focusing on flood insurance, naturally, which have each raised over $10 million in Series A financing. Flood Flash made a series of rapid payouts this year following storms in the UK, getting policyholders their money in as little as 10 hours after the water level exceeded its threshold. Wow. There's Arable, which protects against a host of weather events from drought to heat waves and cold snaps, and raised a $40 million Series B round this year. And there's Pula, which helps provide parametric insurance to smallholder farms in emerging markets and raised $20 million. That is an amazing innovation, and I wish that I trusted people to use it to help people and not to try to screw them over. I really would love to see people that experience flood damage get help from, get money from their insurance much quicker than what happens now. But I just don't trust any of these people that have these capabilities, all this data that they've gathered. How could this be used against us? If you have any idea, please let me know down in the comments below. All right, we're going to wrap up. I have this right here. Democracy Without Borders. New research. Citizens worldwide support democratic global government. Do you? Do you support a new world order where we have one government over the whole world? Now, these people say this, and of course, this is what their whole nonprofit is about. They want a one world government. So they have a vested interest in saying this. We can't really trust them, but I think it's fun to look at what they are trying to brainwash us with. In a new study recently published and freely available in International Studies Quarterly, we find that overwhelming majorities in 17 countries from the global south, north, east, and west support the creation of a democratic world government to tackle pressing global challenges like climate change, of course. It is the catalyst for a new world order. Climate change is the Trojan horse. However, one country stands out as an exception, the United States. Vast support for democratic world government focused on global issues. After World War II, public figures like Albert Camus, Albert Einstein, I tried earlier, but I couldn't do it, Bertrand Russell, they all supported the eternal idea of a world government. Now, I just have to say that Camus, he wrote The Stranger, which is a nihilistic, existential book. I don't trust any of these people to foster global peace and security. Today, scholars promote similar ideas, though under different banners such as cosmopolitan democracy. However, such proposals are often discarded quickly among scholars, diplomats, and other practitioners, claiming that most people would not support it. But is this true? We implemented an international survey, an experiment to explore public support for different notions of a world government. Between 2017 and 2021, we surveyed more than 42,000 respondents in 17 countries worldwide, representing 54% of the world population. Can you believe that? So 54% of the world population finds the proposition of a world government we find that the proposition of a world government finds substantial global support, varying by the specification and country in question. During the pandemic, when we specified the focus of a democratic world government as dealing with COVID-19, support rose 71% across countries. To me, this is just another indicator that it was a plandemic. They knew that it would help push all their goals for global governance. Real quick, I'm going to go through just a few of the things that I bookmarked here on Twitter. Let's see. Yeah, this is the first one. The CIA never discontinued their Manchurian Candidate type programs. No one will ever make me believe otherwise after everything I've learned about MK Ultra and Project Mockingbird. This is from Candace Owens. I love Candace Owens. I have not seen anything from her that makes me think she's controlled opposition. Obviously she could be, but right now I like her. Man who died in Tesla Cybertruck explosion was active duty U.S. Army soldier from Fort Bragg. No terrorist to me, relatives and friends saw few signs before attack for the New Orleans attacker. He was at Fort Bragg. And lastly, after extensive cell phone, laptop, and vehicle GPS data analysis going back 4 years, Ryan Wesley Ruth visited Fort Bragg 147 times. So the 3 most recent incidences, they all have Fort Bragg in common. Let's see. Sorry, guys. It's a little bit chaotic because I have so much here. You know what? I wanted to show you an Elon Musk. This. Here we go. David Icke says some of us have seen it since way back and shaken our heads as MAGA fell for it again, and the fake hijacked alternative media promoted the blatant psyop on the so-called anti-globalists using globalists. You've seen nothing yet as 2025 unfolds. This is James Corbett.
Well, here's
he is right on most things.
the question for you, Ernie. Why do your friends who know about the fundamentals and investing continue to get caught on their shorts against Elon's companies? Why is that?
Because he's a made man and somebody's kissing his butt and helping something.
Exactly. Yes. Thank you. That is the answer. Why? Yeah. Any other businessman would have been dead 100 times by now, bankrupt-wise. But somehow Elon Musk is the cat with 99 lives. How is that? Yeah, because he is a made man. And here's the latest example of this, just in case you missed it from the Wall Street Journal earlier, or just last week. Elon Musk's SpaceX Pentagon to deepen ties despite dispute on Starlink funding in Ukraine. Yes, of course. This whole thing, the U.S. government's going to stop him from taking over Twitter because they don't like his geopolitics and all this. All of it is a smokescreen for the fundamental point that Starlink is a military/intelligence cutout. That's what it is. That's why it exists. He is not there to take you to Mars. He is there to put the Pentagon spy satellites up in space through a third-party proxy that they can distance themselves from as they need be, and they will throw him under the bus when he becomes no longer a serviceable part of their agenda. And anyone who believes otherwise is not paying attention. Not only is he the World Economic Forum global young global leader of 2008, so if that's the metric by which we're measuring all people these days, well, he's a young global leader, he's a Davos minion, but more to the point, he's doing everything in the Davos agenda, from brain chips to UBI to global carbon tax. He is pimping it. And yes, as you mentioned, working on the AI nightmare of the future. And again, this isn't the Jarvis whatever system where you get to control it. It's going to be fundamentally controlled by, well, Musk would like to think Musk's corporations, but more to the point, the people who are pulling his strings and allowing him to do what he does.
Exactly. I just said this to somebody because I watch a lot of investors. My neighbor, actually. Hi, Jim, if you're watching. I told him that people that invest like Elon Musk, they lose. They lose their ass, sorry. They lose a lot of money. And the only reason why he doesn't is because he's a made man, just as this individual described to you. It's unfortunate, but I've known for a long time anybody that wants to give anybody that wants to put a chip in your brain or my brain is not a good guy. And Elon Musk has been propagated as the Iron Man of our world. You know, he's a billionaire genius playboy. And I remember that from like 2008. That image was circulating, and it's all a lie. You know, he's just a puppet on strings as well. So I think that's all I really needed to share with you guys. I mean, Derek Braz, he does excellent work on Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy and just trying to get the truth out there. You know, these people don't have our best interest in mind. One last thing, I'll probably... Whoops. Why? Why can't I go there? Show more. There we go. One last thing. Whitney Webb, another individual I absolutely love. I think she's spot on with everything that's going on. The CIA must get involved now before it's too late. She's quoting Donald Trump. So Donald Trump says, "Our country is a disaster, a laughingstock all over the world. This is what happens when you have open borders with weak, ineffective, and virtually non-existent leadership. The DOJ, FBI, and Democratic state and local prosecutors have not done their job. They are incompetent and corrupt, having spent all their waking hours unlawfully attacking their political opponent, me, rather than focusing on protecting Americans from the outside and inside violent scum that has infiltrated all aspects of our government and our nation itself. Democrats should be ashamed of themselves for allowing this to happen to our country. The CIA must get involved now before it's too late." This is the problem that most people have that are paying attention. What do you mean the CIA? The CIA is a huge part of all our problems. It's probably the problem. The CIA working with Mossad has destroyed America. So now you want to get the CIA involved? The USA is breaking down. A violent erosion of safety, national security, and democracy is taking place all across our nation. Only strength and powerful leadership will stop it. See you on January 20th. Make America great again. So, Whitney Webb, a call to have the CIA involved in domestic policing from the guy who was supposedly being constantly targeted by the CIA, all because of an alleged terror threat based on groups created and arguably still managed by the CIA, Al-Qaeda and ISIS, both created by the CIA. That checks out. 2025 is shaping up to be the year of Make Palantir, a CIA front company, great again. I couldn't agree more, unfortunately. I am America first. I want to make America great again. But unfortunately, I know that none of the people in Washington, and that includes Donald Trump, are going to do that. They are all puppets. And we, the people, are going to have to seek the truth, and we're going to have to not comply. And we might have to get in the streets peacefully, but a lot of us, we need millions in the streets peacefully. Again, peacefully is the key, because the whole point of 2025 being chaos is so that the United Nations can bring order out of chaos. And so we need to not kill each other. We need to not cause more chaos. We need to love our neighbor, help our neighbor. And we can change the world for the better. But it starts with changing ourselves, right? Change ourselves for the better. Be the change we want to see in the world. And that is the last thing I want to say. I love you guys. I hope you had a great new year. and I hope that 2025 is good for you. I don't want it to be bad. I don't. But, freedom ain't free. You gotta fight for it. So, I love you guys, and thank you so much for hanging out. I'll see you in the next one.